Abuja, Port Harcourt, Enugu, they've started work in Enugu. Bayelsa, I think, and Kano, if I remember well. And I think they're going to do 2 more, other Sokoto and Majikura. But even the modernization of the existing airports is giving the country a new face. Because anytime I come into the country, I look at the state of our airport, you ask yourself, what are we in? So it's happening. In Ikeja, we're already seeing a new look. And I believe that, yes, gradually we're going to get there. So, the challenges that have been facing investment in Nigeria, they are already being taken care of. Nigeria is like you have 2 people buy land. You bought yours inside water. Me, I buy my own on farm ground. By the time I've spent $1 billion and you've spent $1 billion, you are still underwater. And I have a house standing. Nigeria started from a pit. It takes time to come to the level, the ground level. So I think we need to understand and get this across in all our communications that these things have been taken care of. We will get there. The process may be slow. Of course, there is access to and the high cost of long-term finance. This I don't understand at all. Let me confess to you. I've tried to study why bank rates, interest rates continue to be 25%, 27%. When the bank is declaring 87 billion naira as profit after tax in 1 year, it doesn't make sense to me. It does not make any sense at all. Because you cannot really have the required growth. Nobody will take 24, 27% and invest in the long term and do long term investment. It's not possible. When you see the kind of, there is this on Excel, there is this, when you take money at 27%, if you see what you are paying back in 10 years, you won't go near it. You will just not go near it. So a lot of people take the money and just say that well, whether we pay or not, it's not our business. I think we need to look at that critically. I'm an engineer, I'm not an economist, so I'm not a financial expert. But I think we need to look at it that it's one thing that is limitating, and it's becoming very difficult to access finance. It is too difficult. I think with the CBN rules and all that, it's almost impossible. I have some projects now that we are doing, and when I look at what people are going through to finance it, you actually have to collateralize up to 300% of what you are taking. It doesn't make any sense. And you are still paying about 27% as I mean, I look at the totality of it. It's almost impossible for the small scale industries to grow. So this is an area which unfortunately I don't have a solution for yet. But it's an area where you can access finance from the diaspora. You don't have to take finance from Nigeria. You can take your finance from anywhere. And there's a lot of, let me tell you, there's a lot of money ready to come to Nigeria. Waiting. So much money. Because the growth has stopped in Europe. That's the reality. It's not that they love us. But that money cannot sit down there. The money must multiply. Growth has stopped in Europe. There's no room for growth in America. So they need to push the money to where there will be growth. We just have to make our own environment more conducive and also propagate the right side of our economy. Now, I'm going to quickly talk about the prospect for the manufacturing sector as a case study. I like manufacturing. I'm not manufacturing yet, but I believe because the multiplier effect of manufacturing is so huge. If you have an agro-based industry, for example, company, you are improving the yield, you are supporting the farmers, transporters are moving up and down, drivers are employed, there is direct employment, there is indirect employment, but people are paying taxes, pay is going in, so much happens around every industry. I come, like I said, I always say I'm an shaman. That's where I come from. At the time, the history of the Shaman, there's only one company. If you are not a teacher or a civil servant, you are working with national bureaus. Go and ask anybody, direct or indirect. That's right. There are people who are supplying raw materials. There are people who are taking finished products out. Retailers, wholesalers, drivers, all the activities in leisure there. If you are not a teacher, you are not a civil servant, it's all around national bureaus. So when I saw the multiplier effect of that only single company, if we have 2 or 3 of we don't care about whatever is happening with allocation, we are good to go. But so let me quickly talk about the effect of why manufacturing is a good place to invest in. There is improved macroeconomic environment. Politically, we have some stability now. There is improved corporate governance. Economic reforms keep on happening. There's abundance of raw materials for manufacturing, cheap and very in abundance. Minerals and agric, petrochemicals, like my big Egmont said. There's land, so you can go to. You don't need to sit down in Lagos. Everybody wants to do their manufacturing in Lagos. Let me give you an example. Hardly we use the trophy lager beer. Trophy is our prime product in international breweries. You won't see it in Lagos. But if you enter 99.9% of where they are drinking in Malaysia, that's what they are drinking. There's a catchment area. If you go to Akure, to Benin, to Adekiti, that's what they are drinking. So Nigeria is such a population that you don't even need to move into Lagos. They are consuming around where you are. There's a rich variety of energy sources. We have gas, we have coal, we have hydro, we have solar, we have wind. And there's an increasing pool of talents because a lot of when Dr. Awagu said people are sending their children to UK because of the quality of education, I agree. But one other reason is that also because of the ethics, the work culture, the environment, the exposure. It's also one good reason why people are sending their children abroad. Because if you see, I mean, I have had the opportunity of employing, even in Nigeria, if you see a student that came out of Covenant, and one from the SU schools, where is Bengadinga? From the SU schools, you see a lot of difference. It's obvious. So if a child goes through education in any university in the UK and comes and there's an environment where he has grown, it has impacted on him or her. The work culture is different, the ethics are different. But what is happening is because they do job abroad, these are talents that are coming back. So all this investment in them abroad is no more a waste. So there is an increasing pool of talents in Nigeria, of well-trained young men and women who are coming back, not because they are not good enough for the economy there, but because they are not from there. So those pool of talents are here. We need to create things for them to where they work. There's a large population, availability of inexpensive labor and market. And generally, there's a positive economic outlook from the GDP and all that we do. Now, a quick case study is MTN. I'm not going to talk too much about it. We all know the story of MTN. But what is unique about MTN was that when MTN came to Nigeria, nobody wanted to come. The big communications company in Nigeria, what are we going to do? That is what they are regretting till tomorrow. You know how many companies have tried? Etisalat came in 3 or 4 years ago. There were so many big names, the first-class ones. They couldn't. They didn't want to touch Nigeria. MTN took a risk. But MTN took a qualified risk. They sat down and did their risk analysis. One, they got people they got stakeholders. And that to bring money, they had investment from locals. Then they brought good quality equipment. So that during the testing period, when they are trying to understand the market and all that, the equipment will last. So they brought first-class equipment to Nigeria. And that's why you see that. And they had a policy of deploying first everywhere. So by the time they've deployed, they've taken those who can afford communication. Not those who are buying because I must, nobody know, oh, sorry. The item was useful. They've taken the cream. It was a deliberate strategy. And what happened? They are a huge success. It is the best, one of the best demonstrations of the potentials in Nigeria and why you must invest in Nigeria. It's a place where return on investment is so big. I have there one funny, I don't know, next clip. Oh, you've gone beyond me. Oh, sorry. The previous
slide.
Go back. Oh, no. I think I've gone beyond this. Please, go forward.
Going forward.
Next page, next slide, next slide. What I was talking about. There's a link there. You'll see it. It's one huge link. But the study conducted by some young men on why MTN meeting was so successful. I would recommend it for all of us. It's something we should look at. You can't copy it down because it's some long, huge link. Now let's talk quickly about the Dangote Group. We all know the story of the Dangote Group. It's only indigenous. It started as a trading company. We all knew it was selling sugar, importing sugar, salt, and cement. In 2002, the government came up with this backward integration policy. And when the government came up with it, next, okay, that's it. That's the link. But if you go and read that link, I think you get a copy of this presentation. You see why MTA succeeded. Dangote killed it in 2002. And from a net importer of sugar, salt, cement, is today a net exporter with a lot of funds to show for it. Today, the group is arguably one of the biggest conglomerates in Africa. Today, the promoter, Alhaji Aliko Dangote, is, according to Forbes, the richest man in Africa with an asset base of $16.1 billion US.
20 now.
It's 20 now.
It's 20 now.
Yeah.
Okay. As against 3.3 in March 2008. Where in the world, what kind of business do you get that kind of return on investment?
Impossible.
3.3 to 20 billion US in less than 5 years.
Right, yes.
Today, the Dangote Group in sugar, they do 1.4 million metric tons per annum. They have the second largest sugar refinery in the world and the largest in sub-Saharan Africa. In salt, they have an installed capacity of 60,000 metric tons per annum. They refine, they fortify and package table agriculture. I think they have sold this now. I think they've sold the salt factory to Tiger. Okay. Yeah?
Food.
Food, okay, it's food. Then they have, they also have the laminated bags where they do 648 million bags per annum. They are doing for fertilizer, I think that's the project in view, 2.8 million metric tons or, I don't know, hectares per annum.
Refinery very
They are planning to put in a refinery now that will produce 450,000 barrels per day. Or a refining capacity for 450,000 barrels of crude oil per day. In petrochemicals, they are looking at 650,000 metric tons per annum. They are looking at feedstock of carbon black, 300,000 metric tons per annum. LPFO, 100,000 metric tons per annum. What has happened? In 2002, the Obasanjo government came on and said, look, if you are ready to go into manufacturing, they are going to support you with incentives, tax initiatives, all sorts. And he keyed into it. And whatever we say, it's employing so many people. I was looking at the cement and the vision he has. In cement, if you look at it, I have